So the atmosphere is rising. We haven't got all the front runners at the front of the grid, so it's going to be a really, really interesting race that lies ahead of us. And it's all about keeping it safe, keeping it on the black stuff. So let us go down and find out what it's like on the grid. I can tell you it's sunny, but Amy Azar was down there to tell you just how hot it is.
Thank you, Bruce. Okayama 国際サーキットへようこそ. Welcome to Okayama. I must say we're so lucky that the typhoon decided to leave this area early because look at this weather. It's just beautiful. The sun is shining. It's really getting hot here. However, we have a little bit of a breeze coming in from the first corner, and I must say the humidity is a little bit not too high as the previous rounds. But I must say this is the final weekend. We have so many talented drivers in the Japan Cup. And what I would like to ask you from whichever corner you're looking, please remember 2 or 3 Japanese names so that you can look towards their future and towards the many, many races to come. All right, back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Amy. So cars are coming round. There is a little blustery wind picking up. It's been super still this morning, but we'll take this weather. So let us take a look at the track temperature and, importantly, the air temperature, wind direction. Oh, the track temperature's gone up 9 degrees since qualifying this morning, 40 degrees. Air temperature's gone up just a couple to 26.5 degrees. Humidity 50%. That's way down on yesterday. It was in the high 80s. So comfortable conditions, well, particularly in the commentary box, but down in the cars, it's going to be very, very hot work, as if it isn't going to be hard enough when you're coming to the final 2 races of the championship. Well, I tell you what, why don't we understand what it's all about as we arrive here at Okayama? Brilliant feature put together by Tom Hornsby.
8 races down, 2 more to go. Welcome to Okayama, host of the 1994 and 95 Pacific Grand Prix, but more importantly for us this weekend, the final round of Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS.
After visiting Sepang, Suzuka, Fuji and Sugo, this year's championships will be decided right here in southern Japan, where not even a once-in-a-generation typhoon can prevent SRO from closing out its Asian campaign.
The 3.7-kilometre, 13-turn circuit is a regular on the Super GT calendar, but just like Sugo, rarely welcomes international series.
The unbelievable events at Sugo, where 888 JMR's Mercedes-AMG spun off on the penultimate lap and Car Guy's crew threw away a guaranteed victory in sight of the checkered flag, see this year's title contenders tied at the top with 2 races remaining. Takeshi Kimura's premature celebrations dropped the Ferrari he shares with Cozzolino from 1st to 3rd, and that 10-point loss now leaves them level pegging with Prince Jefri, Ibrahim and Nick Foster, who had led since the opening weekend at Sepang.
Only victory for Kimura and Cozzolino, plus Ibrahim and Foster non-scoring, will guarantee Car Guy's crew the title on Saturday. Instead, the championship battle looks likely to roll on until the final race of the season.
But there is one more GT3 title contender, Yagibo Racing's Naoki Yokomitsu. However, he must beat both Car Guy and 888 JMR in race 1 to have any chance of overturning a 29-point deficit.
GT4 also looks to be going down to the wire. GTO racing teams Brian Lee and Hideto Yasuoka hold a 6-point advantage over their team GMB rivals Hiroaki Hatano and Shinya Hosokawa, while newly crowned Fanatec Japan Cup AM champion Masayoshi Oyama is 21 points off top spots. Akilan Racing's Oyama is the only driver to have wrapped up one of 13 class titles. 12 more will be decided this Saturday and Sunday.
2 rarely seen GT3 cars also make their Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia debuts this weekend. Bingo Racing has entered the Corvette C7 that previously contested the Suzuka 10 Hours, while K-Tunes reel out its Lexus RCF. Neither are eligible to score points.
So new cars, an unusual circuit and title battles everywhere you look. Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia's season finale promises to be a belter.
So those are the points. Now let's look at the stadium where they're working. The Okayama International Circuit, as Tom said. Grand Prix held here somehow in 1994 and 1995. But it's 13 turns around 3.7 kilometres, and there's plenty of gradient change. The dip after the start line through turn 1, you drop through turn 2, continue down to 3, 4. But turn 6 on the top left of that track graphic, it's an uphill right-hander onto the longest straight of the circuit down to turn 7. Then the track gets very tight. I'd suggest overtaking only really likely into turn 7, and possibly when you've got a good toe through down the start-finish straight into turn 1. It's tight and twisty, and that made qualifying super, super tight. But let us have a word with a driver who just missed out on pole this time. It would have been 4 from 4, but let's hear from Kay Cozzolino, who's the outside hope.
So here we are in the garage of Car Guide Racing 777 with Kay Cozzolino. Kay, first of all, it probably wasn't a position you wanted to start this weekend. How was your qualifying looking back?
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to go for pole, you know, 4th consecutive. That would have been nice, but, you know, I mean, you know, reality hit. It wasn't easy. I think all Ferraris are a little bit struggling for Okayama. We couldn't really get the grip that we wanted from yesterday, so... But in a way, we improved in quali. We were able to do a 28, so this is very positive. But anyways, for the race, I think we're looking quite well.
Okay. So looking to the whole weekend, you are so close to be crowned champions.
Yeah.
How far or how close do you think you are?
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to really think too much about the championship. You know, we're trying to really build on our performance race by race. Of course, we need to be just in front of the 99, so we'll try our best to do that. But most importantly, I mean, the race is quite long, so don't make any mistakes, you know, don't make any errors. Just try to be calm and, you know, make perfect pit stops and try to get Kimura-san to really be at his pace, and I think we have a good shot.
Perfect. I'll be crossing my fingers for you. All the best luck.
Thank you.
Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Amy Izawa. Clearly that interview was a short while ago because the team was still in the garage. All the cars down on the grid. So let's take a look at the championship points. As we mentioned earlier, 2 crews. That's Cozzolino and Kimura, 108 points apiece alongside Prince Jefri, Ibrahim and Nick Foster. It's Ferrari against Mercedes at the front. But Naoki Okamizo has got something to say in this battle because he's managed to put the Yagibo Racing Ferrari on pole position. He's the outside title hope, but he's got it all to play for. All he can do is focusing on going for victory. And Amy Izawa is down on the grid with Naoki right now. And let's go down and hear from the pole sitter about how he put that pole lap together.
All right, so I'm on the grids with the pole sitter, 横溝選手。もう会心のポールおめでとうございました。まだチャンピオンシップに向けて望みはあると思うんですけれども、このスタートどう捉えてますでしょうか。
うちらはもう勝つしかチャンスはないので、もうとにかく最初からプッシュして、今日はとにかく勝ちたいです。
頑張ってください。そしてQ2 の時にちょっとトラブルがあったかと思うんですけど、そちらは解消されたのでしょうか。
メカニックの方たちが直してくれて、チームが準備してくれたんで大丈夫だと思います。
それでは頑張ってください。応援してます。So about the championship, their only hope is to win this time, so they will push as hard as they can. And as you can hear, he was really in the mode and everything he will do to get that win today. And also the trouble, which was at Q2, the mechanics, they did all they can, and apparently it's fixed now. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, and that's just to highlight the fact that their car actually pulled to a halt at the end of the second qualifying session. So let's have another look at the track map of the Okayama International Circuit. It says on the graphic it's 11 turns, I've counted 13, but either way it's a downhill start to a fairly open right-hander, then it twists a little bit, but the most important corner of the circuit is turn 6, top left of the track graphic. It's a hairpin, effectively a wide one, but it's uphill on the exit, then over a crest, down the long back straight, and turn 7 in the middle of your graphic there, just above where it says int 2 is the most important corner for overtaking. It looks though it's going to be staying dry, but it's getting warmer all the time. The flags on the grid, hardly a breeze to be seen, but it's a tight, twisty circuit. Overtaking is going to be difficult. For the teams that haven't qualified well, they might be hoping for a spot of rain, but look at that sky. Conditions absolutely perfect. Ooh, track temperature is now starting to climb a little faster. 41 degrees, air temperature up to 27. So it's getting warmer. Drivers in the second half of the race should find it really quite uncomfortable in the cars. But humidity, that's the good thing. That's dropping. So stage is set. It looks as though it's weather conditions perfect. For this, the final race weekend of the 2022 Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS. So the stage is set, but of course it's not just about GT3 on the grid. We've got 17 of those, but we've got the GT4 battles as well. As Tom said early on, we had to start this championship 13 drivers' championships to work out. One has been settled, that's GT4 AM, but the other 12 across the main championship and the Japan Cup still have to be sorted out here. Some may be picked off today, but of course there's a final chance in the 10th race of the season tomorrow. But let's take a look at the GT4 Championship, because Amy's just going down to speak to the pole starter. But let's take a look at the GT4 Championship as it stands. So only 6 points in it for Brian Lee and his teammate for Hideto Yasuoka. Hiroki Hatano and Hosokawa, they're on pole tomorrow. Just 6 points between them. Amy has worked her way all the way back up the grid. We'll be talking to the pole starter, and that is Brian Lee for the GTO racing team. So down to Amy on the grid.
And here I am on the grid with the GT4 pole sitter, Brian Lee. Congratulations on your pole, and looking at the championships, you're pretty tight with the car number 33. How is this race going to be for you?
For me, I just try to keep the car on the track and safely give to my teacher, my coach, Hideto.
All right, we wish you all the best luck. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Amy. So Brian Lee doing what drivers like to do, like Naoki Yokomiso, take it a step at a time, just focus on trying to win each race that's put in front of them. But I think Brian's being a bit modest there. He's certainly been doing a fantastic job over the last few seasons. But 17 GT3 runners with 10 different manufacturers. That's outstanding, and the crowd's just starting to build up, hugging the shade there in the grandstand opposite the pits. And then the 5 GT4 runners at the back of the field. But let's just remind you, because it is so close, let's look at the GT3 standings. They're the cars at the front of the grid. But it's 108 points apiece for Kei Cozzolino and Takeshi Kimura, and also Nick Foster and Prince Jefri Ibrahim. 25 points for a win, so we've still got 50 points to play for. They're equal at the top. And Naoki Yokomitsu, who's starting 29 points down, but he's on pole position, whereas the challenging cars, the car guy racing Ferrari of Takeshi Kimura will be starting 4th, and 99, the challenger with Prince Jefri Ibrahim, will be starting from 5th. But what the Yogibo Racing Ferrari is looking to do is to make a perfect start, get away and stay in front. But right alongside, he's got the Porsche number 18 from AAS Motorsports, Thai racer Taner Sathian Thirikul alongside. So it's Ferrari from Porsche, from Mercedes, from Ferrari, from Mercedes, from Aston Martin, McLaren, and completing the top 8, another Porsche. So fantastic mix of cars. We've got a Lamborghini in 10th place as well, just to keep that pot being stirred. But there is the front row. Naoki Yokomitsu on that pole position alongside Taner Sathian Thirikul. So 1 minute until the safety car will lead them around. And now it's the time where all the focus is on imagining the course ahead, imagining the 13 twists and turns around the Okayama International Circuit. And if you were watching motor racing, a quarter of a century ago, you think this track looks familiar. Well, it was. It was known as the TI Circuit, the Tanaka International Circuit, in 1994 and 1995, when all the Formula One teams had to go, where is it? They had to come and find it, had to race on it. 2 Grand Prix here, and the track still enormously popular in Japanese circles. And I must say, a very, very scenic race setting. As you can see, the circuit surrounded by tree-covered hills and nestling down. I can imagine the wind might blow, but it won't get round to the circuit. But we're all set for the penultimate race of the year. The safety car leads the field around. The green flag is waved, so Naoki Yokomizu gets his Ferrari going. That's the first bit of good news. Everybody else behind on this 22-car grid, getting them going. And we've got a couple of new cars this weekend, a Lexus RCF and a Chevrolet Corvette C7. That's the one you can hear from approximately 5 kilometers away. It's bright yellow. They're at the back of the GT3 grid, and certainly the Corvette qualified a bit better, but had many, many driver penalties. And was slow getting away from the grid. So I think almost half the field. A lot of them got pinged. Unfortunately, one of the McLarens spun off into the gravel at the final turn. Let's take a look at the grid. And people went past too fast. Naoki Yokomitsu and Taner Sathian Thirikul. So the sun shines on the people who qualified very boldly at the front. Prince Abubakar Ibrahim and Takeshi Kimura, car guy racing. Oh, what a story behind him lifting off the throttle and throwing away victory, shedding 2 places at Sugo. Then Prince Jefri Ibrahim, championship equal leader, and Satoshi Hoshino, that D-Station Racing Aston Martin, is looking very good this weekend indeed. Koizumi Hiroshi in the Absa Motorsport McLaren, Hiroaki Nagai, the bright orange Porsche Center Ozaki entry, he's running in the Pro-Am class, Setuan Santoso, and Hiroshi Hamaguchi, who got quite a few penalties for his car, down in 10th position. That's the Lamborghini. Then Yudai Uchida, one of the McLaren crews, and Tomohide Yamaguchi with the Seoul BMW M4 that's shown great promise. Kei Nakanishi, the LM Corsa Ferrari, third of the Ferraris, and Yusuke Yamasaki, Comet Racing, Honda NSX. So last 3 cars coming up the grid for penultimate row. That's Andrew McPherson, and then Nogami and Banki at the back of the grid. Bingo Racing. They did one race before in a GT Cup class Porsche, now in a Chevrolet Corvette. GT4, Brian Lee on pole position. We heard from him with Amy Masayoshi Oyama for Akiland Racing in the Toyota alongside. Then Yuko Suzuki, the Kreft Motorsport McLaren. And then Hiroaki Natano, the Team GMB Mercedes. And as the cars come round, the final driver on the grid, Kazuhiro Sakai for Comet Racing in his Mercedes. He's in the GT4 AM class, but it's all eyes on the front of the grid. All the cars, all 22 round. No, the last GT4s are just coming into position around the final corner as we're waiting for... No, it's another further lap, extra formation lap, had to be thrown at the last moment because the GT4s had come too much of a gap to the rest of the field. So it was a wise decision, but maybe it was something the drivers had been told before. However, the safety car, the pace car, if you will, sitting at the front of the field. So actually, the fact it stayed on the track means that it was clearly going to be 2 laps to get the heat into the tyres. And in qualifying today, it was really notable. It wasn't the traditional case of popping out, do a warm-up lap, get the heat and the tyres into the brakes. It took them at least a couple of laps to really get them into the zone in terms of operating temperatures. So that's a very sensible decision. Such a glorious day. Look at that deep shadow as the cars go into the braking zone for turn 6. Track on the right hand side of the screen, look how low it is, and then the track on the left hand side of the screen, it shows what an enormous climb it is. And here's the field coming out of that turn 6. Long uphill right hand hairpin. In many ways, so much of an echo of this track and vice versa with the circuit to Catalonia, Barcelona. This corner is like turn 3, that's turn 6 in the background. And then the final 4 corners are like the end of the circuit in Spain used to be before they put the chicane in between the penultimate and final corners. Compressed, I would say, of course. But look, you've got gradient change, you've got a long straight. At this point here, turn 7, I reckon, is the most likely point to get an overtaking manoeuvre. Well, let's wait and see, but I do feel those that qualified very well should have a fairly good smile on their face. So enjoy looking down this field, this incredible spread. 11 manufacturers represented on a 22-car grid, and 10 of them in GT3, the top class. It's outstanding. Safety car ought to be pulling in. That's just coming up to turn 11, penultimate corner. Now the field is properly bunched. It was just a little bit too strung out before, but there goes the safety car into pit in. So turn 12, turn 13, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, and so on, exactly how they should be. So in the Igibo Racing Ferrari, it's Naoki Yokomizo alongside the red, white, black Porsche of the Thai racer Tanat Safian Thiracal, tucked in behind Satoshi Hoshino. A few others, the grid just coming round in neat order. Looks like a really good start from Prince Abu Bakar. Look to treble 8, could be taking it. Oh, had a look up the inside the first corner, backed out. Swung pole starter Naoki Yokomizo blocked off the challenge, and Satoshi Hoshino being shoved a little bit wide in the black. Oh God, the dark green Aston Martin pulled away just before he went into the gravel on the exit of turn 1. So positions lost for the Aston Martin, but Naoki Yokomizo looking very good through the turn. The sweepers, turn 3 and 4, now braking hard. Oh, possible place chase there for the orange Porsche from the Porsche Center Okazaki. Backs off, grid formation being pretty much kept at the front of the field. Anybody going to be close enough to be brave enough when the tyres are still cold, coming down into turn 7. Jockeying for position, but all looking neat and orderly. ABSA Motorsport McLaren has gone well in that grouping. Oh, bit of bodywork rubbing there. And it's the McLaren that had a little spin this morning. The Team Uematsu McLaren that seems to be getting a bit of a move on. And the McLaren being driven at the moment very nicely indeed by Uchida. Neat and tidy. but a really brilliant start. And in GT4, it looks so it's going according to grid. Car Guy Racing looking for the slipstream down the start-finish straight. Almost couldn't see it behind the 99. Prince Jefri Ibrahim driven Mercedes. He covers off the move, but it will be looked at next time around. And the McLaren tucked in behind as well. That's SRO Motorsports. Hiroshi Koizumi pushing very, very hard indeed. Great shots through the sweeper, but the easiest moment to get an overtaking manoeuvre done was on the opening lap. I thought maybe fortune would favour the brave at that point, but Naoki Mizo had one job to do. First job this morning was get pole. Tick, done that. Second job, interesting at this point, Tanat Sathian Thirikul knows he hasn't had the chance to go for the lead, but this McLaren, the SRO Motorsport McLaren, is picking off places. Will it make it work into turn 7? No, but it's important to have a look there, and that was covered off by Takeshi Kimura. So the Car Guy Racing Ferrari holds on to 4th position. But, very good push from behind. The Lamborghini started to pick up form as well. That's the refueling ambitions car that Hiroshi Hamaguchi started way down the grid. He started in 16th place. So many driver penalties. Right, the McLaren, the black and blue McLaren you're looking at there, car number 2 was the one that spun off into the gravel at the final corner, and about 6 cars came through after him and failed to lift and drop their pace accordingly. So there were many, many grid penalties. So 3.3 seconds to good after 2 flying laps. Naoki Mizo has packed his bag and escaped in the lead of this race. Tanat Sathian Thirikul in that 2nd place, 3.3 seconds down. He's 1.5 seconds clear of the treble 8 Mercedes with the sister cars. So on my screen it says AB Ibrahim, that's Abu Bakr Ibrahim, and behind him Prince Jefri, his brother. So they're 3rd and 4th. 5th place Takeshi Kimura, but it's really starting to get a bit busy further back. You can see the Lamborghini trying to make a move and spinning the Aston Martin. So that poor start for Satoshi Hoshino for D-Station Racing has suddenly had consequences, not really of his making. The Lamborghini in the background of the shot as they come over the rise has now got the Comet Racing NSX right on its tail. The Honda trying to make a move because the Lamborghini went down the inside of the Aston Martin and spun it around. I'd like to see that again on the approach to turn 6. Bear in mind the Aston Martin qualified very well, qualified 3rd, lost three places with a penalty, and then unfortunately has lost 4 more places with a poor start, and now lost innumerable places until they get to the start-finish line by being spun out by the Lamborghini as Hiroshi Hamaguchi tried to work his way forward. 3rd, 4th and 5th. Ibrahim and in behind Takeshi Kimura. Kimura is very tidy off the exit of the final corner, starting to get in the toe of Prince Jefri Ibrahim. Don't forget these 2 cars, 99 and treble 7, equal and championship lead, 108 points apiece. So bear in mind, if you've got a championship rival, you can see them, they're just in front of you. You can see precisely what they're doing, but I really look at the form of Kimura through the final corner of the lap. He's looking very good, and the Ferrari is very sleek in a straight line. So he's got to find out. Here's the approach to turn 6. Nothing happening there. Tidy from Jefri Ibrahim up the rise. They go. Climbs really, really steeply at that point. Now down the back straight, looking for the toe all the time. Hide the Ferrari is the game. And tucked in behind McLaren from SRO Motorsport with Hiroshi Koizumi at the wheel, having his chance to close. In behind him Hiroshi Nagai, just falling away a bit after a very, very bold couple of early laps. But this is the title battle. Imagine if this was the final lap of the final race. They were nose to tail with all to play for, but it's not. Let's go through the choice of points. 25 for victory, 18 for second. They're fighting for minor points. If they finished in 4th and 5th, then that would give them 12 and 10 points respectively, which would mean they'd start the final race of the championship just 2 points apart. Great shot down the start-finish straight. You could see the escaping figure of Naoki Mizo, the driver of the Yugibo Racing Ferrari. 4 seconds to the good now. over the Porsche of Tanat Sathi and Thirikol. And the battle we look at now, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and very much safe because the McLaren has got right onto the tail. In fact, I think the next 2 cars are going to be catching them the next couple of laps because car number 30, the bright orange Porsche, Hiroaki Nagai, as this battle is going on ahead, they're slowing each other down. The Porsche's coming closer, bringing the Lamborghini and the second of the McLarens as well, with Yudai Uchida at the wheel. For the first 2, it's like running in a sprint. There's 4 seconds between them, but there's plenty of space behind. There's another 4.5 seconds back to 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Takeshi Kimura, his race is becoming harder and harder for car guy racing. Oh, how he must be ruining lifting off the throttle when he was approaching the finish line at Sugo. Losing, first became second, became third, with 2 other cars flashing by. With that, he lost 10 points, and the other teams gained a few more, so it's great for a championship perspective. But now, back in the pack, he's going to really be realising just how hard it is to be in the middle of a bunch. Turn 11, coming to turn 12, a lot of drivers kicking up the dust just as they exit turn 11. Right, the Porsche has joined them, the Lamborghini at the back of the pack and the second of the McLaren, so they're joined by Nagai, Uchida, Hamaguchi, and car number 7 is the next one in the line. That's a little further back, the Comet Racing Honda. Yeah, the Honda's about 2 seconds out of the picture, but pretty much everyone else is within about half a second of the car in front of them. That's from 3rd place. Oh, number 5 BMW has just entered the pit lane. In fact, it's spent quite a lot of time in there because it's now 2 laps in arrears. Didn't see what happened to that. 2 laps down after 5 laps of racing, so that really tumbled down the order early on. And that's a car that showed a decent pace, certainly in the second qualifying session. So where is the move going to come? Car 888. It's Abu Bakr Ibrahim leading that train, and Naoki Yokomizo using all the circuit and that little bit more. He's just trying to see if he could just stretch that advantage, because of course this is a 1-hour race. We're just over 10 minutes into it, 11 minutes into it. He's got a driver change to make. This was the car that had a problem in the second qualifying, bear in mind, so it's in the driver's minds. But Naoki Yokomizo, one of the most talented drivers in the field here, is making his escape, hoping that whatever stopped it in the second qualifying session is not a problem now. The team assured Amy Izawa down on the grid that all was fine. Let's hope they really feel confident that that's the case. But another brilliant lap on the board. Drive-through penalty now being awarded, if that's a thing, to car number 19. I saw Hiroshi Hamaguchi dive inside Satoshi Hoshino and spin the Aston Martin around, so drive-through penalty coming his way for that incident on the approach to turn 6. And at the moment, Hamaguchi in the Lamborghini is in 8th place overall, so that will cast him way down the order. For Tanat Sathi and Thirikol in this number 18 AAS Motorsport Porsche, he's 4.2 seconds down the race. He's the only driver lapping at a similar pace. Look, they've almost got the back straight to themselves, certainly the first half. And then comes the charging group behind, but not charging in terms of gaining, just charging and trying to hang on to them. 2 Mercedes from 888 JMR. There's the message, race control. Car number 19, drive-through penalty for that incident that spun Satoshi Hoshino right to the back of the GT3 pack. GT4, Brian Lee, car number 14, on class pole, 5.7 seconds clear, so another great drive from the driver from Taipei. It's already been a very strong season for GTO racing. Only 1 class win, but always in the mix. Importantly though, their class win was in the opening race of the 2 last time out at Sugo, so their form getting stronger and stronger as they run through the season. And the 19 Lamborghini, obviously having received the news of the drive-through penalty, had its own problem and it's pulled off. That's halfway down the back straight, so the corner at which the crime was committed is the one that you can't quite see at the back of the shot because it's down below, but clearly it's completely unrelated. Was it an incident? Yellow and red flag. Does that mean he's dropped fluid or just spun around? Very good marshalling there, because the flag was actually finding the only breeze in the circuit. Now pinning it down, at least the drivers can see. So was fluid dropped? I actually thought I saw a shot with the GTO Racing Mercedes. I wasn't sure if it was a heat haze or something was come out, but clearly that's there, and maybe that, was it cause or effect? Did the Lamborghini go round? Hamaguchi now is right at the back of the field. You can see listed in 20th position, just on the left-hand side of the screen, parked on the grass at the side of the circuit. The battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. Still super tight. Race leaders nearly a dozen seconds to the good, but this battle will do what it does. And the two princes of Johor, the younger brother Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim in 888, his leading older brother Prince Jefri, shows how much Abu Bakr has improved through the course of this, his maiden season racing in GT3s. But for Takeshi Kimura, for Car Guy Racing, the bright yellow Ferrari, he's pushing, he's shoving, he's looking, he cannot find a way through. The McLaren's looking a little busy now as well for Koizumi. And there's been a change of place behind them, because last time around the number 2 McLaren, wait for it, it's the black and blue one just in behind, has gained a position. It's moved ahead of the Porsche Center Okazaki number 30. That means the Porsche in orange is at the back of that pack. That's one of the few clean overtaking maneuvers in this race so far. Neatly done. So Hiroaki Nagai got caught napping, perhaps. And to be honest, as you can see, with the constricting corner lines, I think actually surprise is probably your best chance of attack. Just go around, lull them into full sense of security, do something they're not looking for. Because a classic move would be down the straight, get a toe, up over the rise. Again, the Car Guy Racing Ferrari deep down in the slipstream behind those 2 Mercedes, and having a look, the number 16 SRO Motorsport McLaren pulling out just to do something different. So safety car, yellow flag on the start-finish straight, safety car, and that will bunch up the field. So right, note this one down. Naoki Yokomizo, in fact, well, we love the sight and sound of this Chevrolet, but we'd like to see it on the track, and just in front of the race leaders, bouncing around, maybe slightly surprised as they came up, or maybe recovering from an incident, but either way, peeling off into pit lane. So that is the Chevrolet, new this weekend, with Banky driving that for Bingo Racing. Safety car coming out, they've got to remove that Lamborghini, but I'd be interested to know where that yellow Chevrolet had been, or why it was bouncing around on the verging just in front of the leaders as they came through. But safety cars come out, so what had been a 4-second lead had been brought down to the Porsche of Tanat Safi and Thirikul, come down to 3.8 seconds. Now it's going to close up a whole lot more. But did you notice, just between our race leader, the Yagibo Racing Ferrari, and the AAS Motorsport Porsche, was an interloper, because they put a lap on some of the GT4 runners. There's Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Car, well, they're about to tow it away from there. He's got a bit of a walk in from the exit of turn 6, bit of a trek, uphill, down dale. So Banky, great looking car, brilliant sound it makes, but alas, going nowhere at the moment, and I think it has been somewhere that wasn't necessarily on the circuit. Either way, the car from Bingo Racing in the pit lane. So a simple spin, I would suggest that is turn 10, the uphill left-hander. A little bit of show, followed by a little bit of go. So delayed himself enough to just get back on the track in front of our race leader, Naoki Yokomizo, but already the safety car had been thrown, the signal. And so the field will bunch up. Well, as the safety car runs around in front of the field, take a look. Naoki Yokomizo follows him. Then there's one of the GT4 runners, and it's the Team GMB entry, car number 33, which is running 3rd in the class. And that's between our race leader and the 18 Porsche of Tanat Safi and Thirikul. So, let's take a look back at how it all began. Here's the start, the second time of asking, because there were 2 formation laps, not 2 attempted starts. Here it comes. Was it going to be the aquamarine Ferrari on pole position that led into turn 1? Well, it was tight. The best start was actually made from Prince Abu Back are Ibrahim, but not quite close enough to put the treble 8 Mercedes up the inside. And Tanan Saki Empirical braved it around the outside, totally around the outside, went the Aston Martin of Satoshi Hoshino, and that would have repercussions later because that pushed him from 6th on the grid down into the pack, and trouble would ensue. But for our race leader, Yoko Mizo, brilliant start, great shot of the cars through the sweepers at turns 4 and 5, slightly uphill S into this definitely uphill right-hander, turn 6. Field snaking around. Takeshi Kimura just being shown as someone who hadn't got quite enough heat in the tyres. Car Guy Racing Ferrari sliding around as he accelerated out of turn 6. Everybody now at this point in the race behind the safety car has plenty of heat in their tyres. But the clock continues to tick away. 5 minutes and 25 seconds. The pit window will open for 10 minutes. And that is when the drivers all need to come and make their driver change. Just if you're new to Fanatec GT racing, according to each of the circuits, you get a different amount of time from pit in to pit out. The allocated time for the cars in GT3 is 90 seconds from pit in to pit out. For GT4, it's 35 seconds longer. It's 2 minutes and 5 seconds. It's 125 seconds. So teams will need to know that. Now, I think while the cars are behind safety car, let's introduce another element of this championship. Success penalty. In some championships they add ballast, but in Fanatec GT racing in Asia, extra time at your pit stop. So car 47, which was the winner last time out, the D-Station Racing Aston Martin, that has to serve an extra 15 seconds at a standstill. So that makes its pit stop a minimum of 105 seconds. Bear that in mind, that's going to be a big penalty to fight back from. Car number 5 will be serving an extra 10 seconds, and that's the BMW Team Studi M4, but that's already had its problems, spent a couple of laps in the pits, and car number 30 hasn't been seen for a while in the championship. That's the Porsche Center Okazaki. It's still got a plus 10 second success penalty being carried over from the Fuji round. And car treble 7, you can see it in the middle of the pack. It's bright yellow with a black stripe up the middle. That's Car Guy Racing, and they will have an extra 5 seconds at their pit stop, and the same for the top 3 finishers in the second of the 2 races at Sugo. So it's something to be considered. But in GT4, the lead of the class in the hands of Brian Lee. He's building a buffer all the time, so his time penalty in the pits should be served relatively easily. He's got plus 10 seconds, but he's leading the class. And important for him is the car that's second in class is going to be almost a lap ahead. Sorry, he's going to be almost a lap ahead of the car in second, because that is at the head of the train, tucked in behind our overall race leader. Look, there's the car second. Wait, not that one, that's car 27, the race leading Ferrari, but the car that's second in GT4 is tucked in behind. It's the black and white Mercedes. There it is in the background, car 33. So with every lap behind the safety car, while he's there, you just trail down this pack of cars, and at the back of the pack, well, about 4 cars in the back of the pack, will be the car leading GT4, the number 14 Mercedes of Brian Lee. So, period of quick, slow. We've done the quick, now we've got the slow, but for a lot of the drivers, they're thinking, well, I've only got a few more minutes, then the pit window will open, and then I will be able to come in. But just waiting for this number 19 refueling systems at Lamborghini, already due to serve a drive-through penalty for knocking the Satoshi Hoshino-driven Aston Martin wide at turn 6, tilting it into a spin. And now that Lamborghini coming to a halt at the edge of the circuit. Don't know what it is, but clearly no drive, and that is being rescued. Again, it's always difficult. Sometimes there are pretty inconvenient places for a truck to come out of, but in the background you can see there's a gate just behind the flatbed truck, but the good news is on the move and it's carrying a Lamborghini. So for Hiroshi Hamaguchi's teammate, I'm afraid there's going to be no race on Saturday here at Okayama. Maybe tomorrow for Mineki Okura. D-Station Racing, they're watching on. There's Tomonobu Fuji, all with his helmet on, ready to go. He was always going to be one that was, that car was going to be one of the first ones into the pits when the pit window opens, simply because he is quicker than Satoshi Hoshino. When you're running in the Pro-Am class, you want to give your pro as much time in the car as possible. Temporary temperature continues to rise. Safety car continues to have lights flashing on the roof. It's just coming through the final corner onto the start-finish straight. No obvious damage to that number 19 Lamborghini. There was that yellow and red slippery surface warning flag on the exit of turn 6, so whether it dropped something and went round, or rotated, but it doesn't look as though it's hit the barriers, so maybe something just went pop. Or even more galling, perhaps something just stopped working. That's what happens. It could be an electrical problem. Right, Cozzolino is ready to go. Safety car due to be in on the end of this lap, so it's got 3/4 of a lap to go. There's the run up to the S's, turns 3 and 4. The Toyota Supra leading the way around, but our race leader, Naoki Yokomizo, I reckon he's going to stay out as long as he possibly can. The safety car will pull in at the end of this lap, and I think he's going to go and see how much more time he can get back into his lead. He's 4 seconds the good, but importantly for him, he's got a GT4 runner between him and that Porsche that's running 3rd in the queue, but is 2nd overall, Tanat Sathian Thirikul. That's the wheel. So really the order before the pit stops is clear to be seen. I'm just trying to see how many GT4 runners are down that pack. Not too many, just that black and white spotted one that's 2nd in class, but is 2nd in this line of cars, and it's not in that championship race whatsoever. But just remember, Yokomizo started from pole position, built that 4-second lead. It was starting to come down as Tanat Sathian Thirikul was getting his head down, but that battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th was very, very good indeed. It was nose to tail. Looking with every lap as it was helping those first 2 drivers as they were able to escape. So the pit window is now open and will remain open, well, for remaining just over 9 minutes, 9.25 minutes, and then the pit window will be metaphorically slammed shut. Naoki Yokomizo knew exactly what he was doing, turning out of turn 9, pinned the field back, floored the throttle, and is making his break now. Of course, he can't be overtaken before the start-finish line, but with the buffer of that GT4 class car, his lead is going to be 4 seconds by the start-finish line. Turn 11 completed, turn 12 diving downhill through there. He needs to absolutely maximise these next few laps. Just bear in mind, the championship points were 108 and 108 to his 2 leading rivals. He's on 79. He's down 29 points with only 50 points to play for, but everybody else, it seems, is diving into the pit lane. I'm exaggerating slightly for effect, but look, behind, only about 1/3 of the field continue down the track. It's going to suddenly feel very, very busy. A lot of others deciding to do it now. Was it the wise thing to do? If you were near the front of the queue, why would you not continue? If you've been in that battle from 3rd place through to 8th, they were line astern. If I was at the back of that pack, having caught it, I would have stayed out for a few more laps, but Cozzolino wants to get in the car guy racing Ferrari, the equal championship leader, as soon as he can. Likewise, Nick Foster is now getting into his championship rival, is now getting into the 99 Mercedes from 888 JMR. Remember, it's not a case of quick in, quick out. There is a minimum pit stop of 90 seconds from pit in to pit out. And for 777 and 99, these are key moments. And for Naoki Yokomizo staying on the track, all he can do in this race is try to make sure he gives the biggest lead possible to his teammate to see if they can score another win. They're the outsiders, all they can do. He and Kyoto Fujinami is pressed for the 25 points for victory today to at least try and maybe halve that championship deficit and set themselves up for the final round tomorrow. Look how tight it is in the pit lane, waiting for the first car to move, but again, they all have a minimum time in the pits. The Aston Martin in the background has an extra 15 seconds to contend with. Of course, that's success penalties from a previous race. An extra 5 seconds for the car guy racing Ferrari, but the 99 car, no penalties. That would be certainly coming back out with Nick Foster on board ahead of the car guy racing Ferrari. Everybody else a little bit jumbled up in the pits. The car guy racing just coming out of the head of the LM Corsa Ferrari, showing how that time penalty dropped it down the pack. But fastest lap of the race still held by Naoki Yokomizo. He's got the track almost to himself the first half of that, and he's going to see what he can do about building his advantage over Tanat Sathian Thirikul. So who didn't come in? Yokomizo, Sathian Thirikul, Koizumi, Uchida, Yamasaki and Sakai. They're the top 6. Sakai, haven't really mentioned him in the race. He's driving car number 4. Sorry, of course, he's just sharing with Masaki Fujii. He's running in GT4 for Comet Racing. Now, these next 2 laps are going to be absolutely critical. Can Cozzolino in the Car Guy Racing Ferrari gain some positions on the track? Now we've got some of the pros in these Pro-Am lineups. They have got to show their worth. Catching the number 7 Comet Racing Honda, no problem at all there. Passing him, something else completely. And looking for help from the other drivers, he stays to one side, and looks like the Ferrari may have been able to go past. Yes, it is. That's very good driving from Comet Racing. Not in the championship mix. I thought Yokomizo, our race leader, would stay out for longer. Tanat Safi and Thirikal, I thought he too would stay out for a few more moments, a few more laps before the pit window closed, but they're all diving in. So that's effectively everyone down to Uchida, Yokomizo, Safi and Thirikal, Koizumi and Chima, all late to make their pit stops. Icon would have stayed a few laps longer. So this is the car that needs to win this race pretty much to stay in with any hope in the championship. So Car Guy Racing pushing on Cozzolino, equal in the lead of the championship. Just look at the respective positions of 77 and 99. 99 with Foster should be in front because that had a no success penalty to serve here. There's an extra bit of time in the pit lane for number 777. And there they are. Cozzolino, I expected him to be behind. He's come out ahead of Foster, and that's with serving an extra 5 seconds at the standstill. So, job very well done indeed by Car Guy Racing. Those that came in a lap later. Also the Akiland Racing Toyota Supra, that is the only driver who's won a championship yet this year. That was Oyama clinching victory in the GT4 AM class. Masayoshi Oyama last time out, but looking for more glory here. Oh, very, very close in the pit lane. Just see the number 16 McLaren slotting right in front of the number 2. They were in those positions before the pit stops, and Cozzolino blasting out of the final corner. He's not going to go into the lead of the race. We've seen the first 2 runners in and out of the pits coming out in front of him. Here comes Cozzolino. Boy, he's dropping the field behind. Nick Foster, championship challenger, is about 3-4 seconds behind. So it really seemed to work for those that had the pit stops a lap after everybody else. But bear in mind, everyone has a minimum pit stop time, so actually being in the pits at the same time as other people, not always a problem, but sometimes it's in your mind when you've got other drivers around you. The crews get a little bit intimidated. But the Yigibo Racing Ferrari, the AAS Motorsport Porsche, and in behind looks like one of the McLarens is now best of the rest, so that's a really good showing from Team Uematsu. LM Corsa with their bright blue Ferrari. In behind the EBM Giga Racing Porsche. And for AAA JMR, these pit stops haven't been things of total glory, unfortunately for them. And for D-Station Racing, Aston Martin, have a little sigh for them. Satoshi Hoshino lost positions at the start of the race, having had a grid penalty, then ran wide at the first corner. Then he got spun around, then unfortunately had to serve an extra 15 seconds at the pit stop, so the glory from Sugo is being fast forgotten. And Kyoto Fujinami making good his escape at the front of the field. So trying to do exactly what his partner Naoki Yokomizo did in the first half of the race, leading away from the pole, and now suddenly getting a challenge. The Car Guy Racing coming under lots of pressure from the McLaren. The McLaren's looking really, really good at this point in the race. The Absa Motorsport version, Keita Sawa, so much experience and really starting to make it show out on the circuit. So now the big problem, if you just drop the ball slightly during a pit stop, you're going to find yourself in a line of cars, and that's exactly where Nick Foster in 99 finds himself. But what he can see the Car Guy Racing Ferrari, his championship rival, equal on points, 108 points apiece, just up the road ahead of him. He's got to keep his cool and pick his moment. And, well, if he has to accept, what do you do? stick your neck out, take a real risk and risk possibly falling off the track? Or would you just bide your time? But you can't bide your time because who's just set the fastest lap of the race? Cozzolino, 5th overall, chasing after Kantazak Kusiri. And he's going even faster this lap, so Car Guy Racing, Takeshi Kimura out of the car. Now it's in the hands of Cozzolino. He's trying to make it count. Oh, Car Guy Racing really making good its escape. For a short while it had the Absol Motorsport McLaren right on its tail, but it's gained a lot of time on it. Lapping, getting closer towards qualifying pace. Cozzolino in 4th place. So let's run you down the order. Effectively that's 3rd place because Yamasaki in the Comet Racing Honda has just pulled out of the lead. What, the Honda was leading the race? Yes, it stayed out right to the end of the pit window, which is going to close any second now, so did a maximum first stint. So that means the Yagibo Racing Ferrari, there it is, lights are flashing, car number 27 leads this race. And that's Kyoto Fujinami. His advantage is nearly 6 seconds over Kantazak Kusiri. So the first 2 cars before the pit stop are still the first 2 cars. But the important news for the championship challenging crew of Cozzolino and Kimura now up into 3rd place. But Amy is down with the driver who was the star of the first part of the race, down with Naoki Yokomizo. His car is still leading the race with his teammate on board. So let's go down and find out what it was, that brilliant opening stint for Yagibo Racing.
I'm in the box with Naoki Yokomizo of Yagibo Racing. 横溝選手、せっかく作ったマージンがセーフティーカーで取り消しになってしまって、でも車の調子だったり、藤波選手につないだたすき、どうでしょうか、この先。い
や、非常にいいペースで走れてたし、僕の仕事はやっぱギャップを作って藤波選手に渡す仕事だったんで、セーフティーカーでちょっと戦略変わっちゃったんですけど、だからまた今日もね、彼には苦しい思いさせちゃうんですけど、我々としては勝たなくちゃいけないんで、みんなで精一杯やって、出た結果でやるしかないですね。
この先も藤波選手がね頑張ってくれるかと思いますので、一緒に見守りましょう。お疲れ様でした。ありがとうございます。So yeah, he is a little bit disappointed because his job was to actually give the biggest margin to Fujinami, but this happened and the safety car has been in this race all over the season, so this is what it is, and then he just wants to see how Fujinami can push as hard as he can, and we're still just looking for the win. That's what he said. Back to you.
Thank you very much, AC. Great reporting down there, and you could sense the disappointment from Naoki. You know, he had that 4-second advantage. The safety car came out, all but wiped it out, but he was so clever at the restart there because he was a GT4 runner between his car and Tanart Sathi and Thirikon in second place, and by flooring the throttle when the safety car had pulled a little bit clear, he was able to gain a couple more seconds before he got round to the start-finish line, opened the lead out yet again. Now the car is back in the lead of the race. Last time around nearly 5 seconds clear of the number 18 Porsche, but Kantazak Kusiri is going to come round in second place with, look in the background, the Car Guy Racing Ferrari Cozzolino at the wheel. Almost impossible to see. If it wasn't bright yellow, you wouldn't see it at all. No, not brave enough to dive down the inside yet into turn 1. This could be something that plays out for quite a few laps. And every extra lap, every passing lap in which the Car Guy Racing Ferrari does not get through into second place. Oh, Kantazak Kusiri, watch the rear of your Porsche. Started to swing out, but every lap he's stuck behind the Porsche. That's advantage to Yagibo Racing. They took a win in the first of 2 races last time out at Sugo. Will they do it again? But they're going to be 22 very long minutes for Naoki Yokomizo in the pits. He'll be the one biting his fingers. And the driver at the wheel at the moment is doing a great job of that car. Car 27, Kyoto Fujinami, is the Yagibo Racing Ferrari. Will a move stick into turn 7? Well, there's only one way round. It will be the outside, but it's the long way round, but he'll be in the right position. Oh, that was a brilliant move, but you know what, Kantazak Kusiri, you could say, could he have been tougher, but very respectful driving, maybe trying to stop the immovable force, the driver with the fastest lap in the race, the driver of 777, that's Cozzolino. He has been a superstar in Fanatec GT this year. So, with Cozzolino moving up into second place. That is potentially 18 points, but he won't settle for that. He wants 7 points more. And that's what comes with victory. But the driver who won't enjoy seeing this, if he looks at any of the screens around the circuit, will be Nick Foster, championship challenger. They both started the race equal on 108 points, but Foster isn't even in the picture now. He's in 5th place overall. But let's go down and hear from Takeshi Kimura. He'll be getting excited because his car is into 2nd place and it's climbing. Down with Amy.
Alright, I'm in the box with Kimura Takeshi. Kimura 選手、もうずっと前メルセデス2台が序盤はいまして、相当フラストレーションがたまる初めだったんじゃないですか。
まあスタートで抜かれたのが全てですね。まあちょっと結構大事にいっちゃったなってのもあって、まあしょうがないですかね。
でこの K 選手に今たすきをつないで、先ほどね拍手も起きましたけれども、この先チャンピオンシップに向けてコメントいただけますでしょうか。
まあ僕らまだ秘策あるんで、ちょっと隠してるちょっと明日のレースに秘策がありますから、はい、まあ行きます。
それは秘密ですか。
まあ予選が全てだったんじゃないですか。ちょっと秘密があるんで。
わかりました。はい、ありがとうございます。この先も見守りましょう。So he admit that he took the start a little bit safe, so that was his part that he got stuck behind the 2 Mercedes. But however, now Kay is on the steering wheel and he's doing a great job so far. So they are pushing very much, and they have a special thing coming up tomorrow. So he is very much looking forward to the Sunday race. But he didn't tell me what the surprise was. But let's look forward to that. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Amy. Great interviews down there, and Takeshi, you know, no driver likes it to get away from at the start of the race, particularly in a circuit that's so hard to make an overtaking maneuver. But one driver who really does need to find form, if he's going to stop the smile on Takeshi's face, is Nick Foster. There he is in the 99 Mercedes, going past the GT4 run. That's relatively easy for him to do, of course, but all along, Foster, having just got past the number 16 McLaren last time around, job done there. More cars to pick off. The next target, Kantasak Kusiri, and the Thai racer, nearly 4 seconds advantage over Nick Foster. Foster's got to chase. He's got to try and keep Cozzolino in sight. They're fighting for the championship. 108 points apiece after 4 rounds, this 5-round 2022 championship. So Ferrari leading the race. That's Yagibo Racing. Very well indeed by Kyoto Fujinami, just checking his timing sectors. He is being halted, but actually not a brilliant opening stint to this lap for Kei Cozzolino. The gap will come down. It was 6 seconds last time around, but importantly on this twisty circuit, there aren't that many points at the moment which Kei can see the car in front of him. Coming through this corner, the final corner of the start-finish straight, let's take a look. You can see the Ferrari up ahead, but once you get to the twisty parts, is hard. So down the back straight between 6 and 7, and down the main straight between turn 13 and turn 1, he has line of sight, but a few other points. So he's got these points at which you've just got to check, am I getting closer? Was I further away last time? 3rd place, Nick Foster coming through. So, sorry, 4th place, Kantasak Kusiri in 3rd place. Did the cat? Yes, it's come down. So Foster getting closer by, again, 0.8 of a second on Kusiri. So could be chasing after the points for 3rd place. It's 15 points for 3rd place. If it stays as it is, Cozzolino's car, which started equal on points with him, will pick up 3 more points relative. Oh dear, car 18, stop and go. Pit stop infringement, a small infringement, but 1 second at the standstill, plus in, plus out. That's really going to hurt the car that is running at the moment in 3rd place. That's Kantasak Kusiri. Who committed the penalty? Was it on the way in, or more likely on the way out? Something theoretical, who knows? But Kantasak Kusiri. So that means Car Guy Racing is suddenly, kabam, up into 2nd place. And car 18, of course, sorry, car 18, Kantasak Kusiri being pushed down. I'm just meaning Foster is suddenly going to be given 3rd place. They'll all move up a position from 3rd place backwards. So Foster will go to 3rd, Sawa to 4th, and Reid Harker to 5th place. Car Guy Racing, another good lap. Another lap in which 1/4 of a second was gained on the race leader, but it's a really good job being done today by Kyoto Fujinami. Maybe, just maybe, Yagibo Racing will be making taking a second win. In the pit lane, coming through the pit lane, is the number 18 AAS Motorsport Porsche. Had fallen from second to third, 1 second at a standstill, almost 2 seconds served, and back into the race. There's the Porsche coming out behind the BMW, but that's many laps down after its earlier problems in this race. Where will number 18 slot back in? Outside the top 10. What a blow for being just a second too quick in and out of your pit stop. On small things, you suddenly shed about a dozen places. Comet Racing GT4, Mercedes going through the shot there in front of the car in second place, obscuring the view, but no problem to be picked off between turn 9 and 10 for Cozzolino. The gap between Cozzolino and Foster, between second and third place, is 6.8 seconds. And around this lap, Foster's picking up his pace, but all along at each of the timing sectors, Cozzolino is gaining a little bit more, pulling out about a third of a second a lap. Round the corner he comes. Quarter of an hour remains, and that's what he's got to do in the time. That distance between him and the race-leading Yugaibo Racing Ferrari has to be pulled down and down and down, and it just depends how brave Fujinami feels. If and when, as and when potentially, that bright yellow Car Guy Racing Ferrari gets onto his tail. Let's just check in on the GT4 class. It's been all about car number 14, started by Brian Lee. Hideto Yasuoka has taken it over. Yasuoka still leading the class by 2 seconds. So Masataka Inoue is getting closer and closer. That'd be worth picking up on the number 17 McLaren from Kref Motorsport. So the second generation of the racing Inoues is closing in lap by lap, just 2.1 seconds between them. And in confirmation, Kantazak Kasiri, I think, is in 12th place overall. That was the car that's running in third. Now, a little bit more track action, 8 and treble 8, and it was Reid Harker in number 8, the Porsche, that started the lap in 5th place overall. Jasmine Jafar looking quite busy, the Malaysian driver in the blue 888 JMR. Mercedes in behind, blue with those silver flashes behind the pits. They go behind the paddock. So tight at the end of the lap. Into turn 10 they go. This is where we saw the Chevrolet have a little moment early on and go into the gravel before rejoining, but Reid Harker has that one covered off. Like another good lap going on the board for Car Guy Racing, down to 5.1 seconds behind Fujinami, but only gained a third of a second. Now, what was the pace of Nick Foster? He lost 0.2 of a second or thereabouts, so just by small margins falling away from the second place car, the car that is equal on points with his going into the race, but coming out of the race in just under a quarter of an hour's time. It will be Cozzolino and Car Guy Racing that will find a little bit more of an advantage. For our race leader, Kyoto Fujinami, and his teammate who started so well from pole, Naoki Yokomizo. They look, I would suggest, still safe enough to take the 25 points for victory, but they did start the day 29 points down, and those behind would have only lost 7 and 10 points respectively, so still be in with a shout at the championship tomorrow. However, it's going to be a big ask. And looking at these images as they get beamed out around the globe from southwest Japan. Thank goodness we're not in the northeast of Japan that caught the edge, or is catching the tail edge of a typhoon. It blew through effectively between Osaka and Tokyo yesterday. We're just to the west of that, and beautiful, beautiful. Is it autumnal weather? Is it late summer? Either way, absolutely beautiful. So the gap is definitely coming down. It was 5.1 seconds, it's 4.6 seconds. Cozzolino closing in. It's Yugaibo Racing from Car Guy Racing, and the car that's equally in the lead of the championship for now, for another dozen minutes. Nick Foster, he's now 6.9 seconds down. That was his fastest lap in the race, so Foster actually took a few tenths out of Cozzolino. Won't be enough to catch him, but important anyhow. GT4 race leader might be wise to pull out of the way of the GT3 Lexus, and that's Hideto Yasuoka. Yeah, he does. I mean, you could tell what was coming, but what is the point? But sitting on a very good lead in class, but don't forget, actually I'd say a very, very good lead, but Masataka Inoue, yeah, got close, but he's actually fallen back from 2 seconds to 2.8 seconds in arrears. So the number 14 GTO Racing Team Mercedes, there it is, bright metallic blue, is looking very, very strong indeed. Just needs to tick off the laps. For something I find incredible, it would only be their second class win of the season so far in the 8 races to this point. But certainly looking very, very tidy indeed. And good to have a McLaren GT4. There's the Pref Motorsport example of Masataka Inoue. Definitely looking better than he was in qualifying this morning, so gaining confidence with the car, with the circuit. And Taki will be looking on, Father Taki, with great pride. So, through to the end of this race, what's going to happen? GTO Racing Team, lights are flashing on the number 14 Mercedes. Has he got it in the bag? Because look, there's the McLaren still chasing him down. Pref Motorsports chasing after GTO Racing Team. That was 2 seconds, went out to 2.8. That might be according to how traffic affected them as the GT3 runners came through. Now it's out to 3.3, but this is the battle we're looking at, the battle for outright honours in the race. Kyoto Fujinami, 4.4 seconds to the good, but last lap was the fastest lap of the race. The driver of this car, the Treble 7 Racing, car guy racing Ferrari, Cozzolino. Wet or dry, it matters not. 10 minutes to go and falling. He's relentless in catching, but then he may need traffic to help him when it comes to the passing, because you can be sure that Fujinami is not going to leave the door open and say, hey, why don't you come on through? And you don't win a championship like the Super GT Championship without being anybody's fool, so Kyoto Fujinami has plenty of talent to rely on, but Kei Cozzolino, who's giving chase in second place, well, he's another thing altogether. And Foster still pressing on, equal for now, but only for the next 10 minutes and less. His teammate Prince Jefri Ibrahim will be in the pit garage looking and watching, and if you've just come across Fanatec GT Racing, it's 2 races per round, one on the Saturday, one on the Sunday, and the driver who starts today will be the driver who goes second tomorrow, and vice versa. So Kyoto Fujinami leading for Yigibo Racing, he will be the starter driver tomorrow, and Naoki Yokomizo will be the finishing driver. Maybe, just maybe, the win today will be enough to put him in with a semi-tilt at the title tomorrow, but coming here 29 points down on a pair of cars, the car guy racing Ferrari and the Mercedes that just comes over the crest of the hill in the background. A long way ahead on the points. This win, if indeed the win comes their way, will help close it down a little bit, but I think it's maybe, just maybe, a little too much to haul in. Around the course this lap, every single timing sector. The first one is just after the S at turns 3 and 4. The second timing sector beam is halfway between turns 9 and 10. The 2 corners separated by the short, very short straight behind the paddock. That's the second timing interval. And actually, the middle interval on this lap, our race leader pulled away a little bit, having lost a similar amount at the start of the lap. But, oh, they're getting much, much closer. Look, turn 12 turns into turn 13. And for car guy racing not so long ago, the Ferrari was way, way up the road. Don't worry, the car that's immediately in front is not our race leader, Naoki Yokomizo. There's another car between them. It's the Pref Motorsport GT4 McLaren. But the gap down to 3.6 seconds. 3/10 of a second gained on that last lap. For Nick Foster, lapping actually faster than the 2 cars in front of him, which closes it down, but he's nearly 7 seconds down in 3rd place. 7 minutes 20 seconds remain. Yigibo Racing, will they take their 2nd win of the year? Let's see. Another person who's lapping at very decent pace is Tomonobu Fujii, but he's only down in 8th place in the D-Station Racing Aston Martin. Unfortunately, having had his teammate Satoshi Hoshino lose a handful of places at the start, then gets spun around to the back of the GT3 pack. So he's made his way order, but only to 8. Now, we have 2 sets of championships to consider in this. We've got the Japan Cup, which is spread across the 4 rounds in Japan. And if Car Guy Racing presses on like this, they will actually become the GT3 champions. Not in the overall title, but in the Japan Cup. So many things to be decided. We had 12 of the 13 driver championships split between the overall series and the Fanatec Japan Cup, and only one title had been sorted. 12 was still to sort here, and it looks like this could be the 11th one about to be sorted. So, questions to ask. You sort of feel that AAA didn't do the best job in the pit stops, or maybe Car Guy Racing were just exceptional. They had a 5 seconds extra standstill, and yet they still came out ahead of AAA. But since then, Cozzolino has shown his class, and he's closing all the time on the race leader. 3.3 seconds between him and Fujinami for Yukibo Racing, but the clock is not his friend. Look at that, 5 minutes and 40 seconds. The Akiland Racing GT4 Toyota between the pair of them. Cozzolino has to pick him off down the back straight between turn 6 and 7. There's a kink halfway down that straight, and when we look, if the lens goes wide on the camera, we'll see that bright yellow Ferrari is closing in with every sector. Here's our race leader, Kyoto Fujinami, out of turn 8, into turn 9, out of turn 9, down that short straight towards turn 10, then double back, left-hander up the hill to turn 11, then 12, downhill again towards that final corner. So Yokomizo, all he could do with his teammate Fujinami, who's finishing the race, he could still take the outright GT3 title, but it'd be some clever maths. All they could do in this race was make good their escape, grab the 25 points for victory, should just about be able to hang on. And if it hadn't been for that safety car period in the first half of the race, don't forget that they lost a 4-second lead, the whole field got compressed, but Yokomizo was a very, very bright individual. He bunched the field up behind the safety car, knew he had the buffer of a GT4 Mercedes between him and Tanart Sathi and Thirikal, and when the safety car indicated it was going to pull in, he floored the throttle, reacted better than anybody else, and gained a few more seconds way before the cars came round to the start-finish line. But time was lost, time was regained. So Yukibo Racing, they came here with one job to do: stay in the title hunt through to the final round, the Sunday race. Best way of doing it, qualify on pole, tick that box, win the race. Potentially about to tick that box as well. There's the gap, it's coming down with every single lap. It's down to 2.8 seconds on the finish line. You can see how hard Fujinami's pushing over the curbs. Car Guy Racing, Cozzolino looking a little smoother at this point in the race. But Fujinami has resisted Cozzolino before. He's having to do it again. He did it at Sugo. He can absorb the pressure. He is a driver of great, great merit. Fujinami, GT3 champion in the Super GT series a couple of seasons ago. However, 2.8 seconds the gap between first and second last time, down to 2.2 seconds this time around. This lap, one further lap to go. The last 2 laps, the penultimate race in the 2022 Fanatec GT Asia Series. It's also the penultimate race of the Fanatec Japan Cup, so many titles to work out. Let's just focus on who's going to take outright victory in this race and then work backwards from there down through the various series. But look, interval after interval, gaining half a second a lap over the last lap and the lap before. But if it carries on at that rate, that won't be enough to get him on the tail. Now, GMB Racing, Mercedes needs to keep out of the way. He's indicating he's pulling to the right, or driver's left. That's exactly what he needs to do. Yukibo Racing, Ferrari, our race leader, will get through before turn 7. The Mercedes has to turn, it tucks in behind. But I'm suggesting that they're looking in their mirrors, working out that Shinya Hosokawa, he's one of the stars in GT4, easily good enough to keep out of the way of the Car Guy Racing Ferrari. However, in the twistiest part of the circuit, it's difficult to make your car disappear. He's got to be prepared. Look at the blue flags, stay out of the way, but doesn't have much track to play with. But Cozzolino compromising the corner, not the fault of the GMB Racing Mercedes. Had to turn in at some point, but Cozzolino couldn't afford to back off, couldn't lose momentum. I guess even on this lap he would have gained a little bit on our race lead, a little bit more, but maybe the 10th of a second here, and then suddenly the Comet Racing Mercedes right in front of him. So that's 2 compromised corners for Cozzolino. 1 minute and 46 seconds remain. No, there's time for this lap and one further lap beyond. Oh, how Car Guy Racing are desperately happy that the 2 laps still suffice. If we'd been going on to the final lap, surely with a gap of 2 seconds, he wouldn't be able to haul it in. But look how Cozzolino is working his Pirellis, squeezing everything out of them, throwing the Car Guy Racing Ferrari around right to the edge of adhesion. Hard to look anywhere else. This brilliant battle between the two Ferraris. Yugebo Racing against Car Guy Racing. Unfortunately for Nick Foster, the 99 Mercedes from AAA JMR, he's nearly 7 seconds back. He's lapping faster than these two, but it's too little too late. He came here equal on points with Cozzolino when talking about the driver's finish in this race, but will have dropped 3 points further down. But that's nothing when it comes to the final round of the championship. So much, well, everything is going to be settled tomorrow. The driver in the second place car, Cozzolino, will at least go away this evening back to his hotel along with his teammate Takeshi Kimura, knowing that he's landed the Japan Cup element. He's landed the GT3 title in that. That's a championship spread across the 4 races of the series that are held in Japan. First in Suzuka, then in Fuji, then Sugo, another up and down circuit, and finally here at Okayama. But don't forget, the race is never over until the checkered flag is waved. We had an accident. AAA JMR don't enjoy watching their car going off with a lap to go at Sugo, and then of course for Car Guy Racing, the expensive error from Takeshi Kimura when he came off the throttle just too soon when he thought he had victory at Sugo in the bag and shed 2 positions first, became 3rd in the blink of an eye in the second of the races at Sugo. That is why the championship is so tight on the points. So an hour of racing has been concluded. We're on the final lap of the first of 2 races here at Okayama. And it's Fujinami from Cozzolino, it's Ferrari from Ferrari, it's Yugebo Racing from Car Guy Racing. That is how it is, with the best of the rest. The number 99 AAA JMR Mercedes, and the gap continues to fall, but this is the final lap. There's the message on the top of the screen. One of the only likely overtaking places is right here, right now, turn 7. It's not going to happen. Cozzolino hasn't been able to get close enough. I really sense the way that Kyoto Fujinami is driving, that he's good enough to hold him off come what may, but he's only got 5 corners to go. Here's the first of those, turn 9. Down that super short straight just behind the paddock, turns 10, 11, and then the sweep onto the start-finish straight. And for Fujinami, it's a silver lineup, and for Car Guy Racing, it's a Pro-Am lineup, so it's all the more amazing that it's here challenging at the end of the race. Takeshi Kimura, the Am, and Kei Cozzolino, very much the Pro. But Naoki Okamitsu qualified on pole position for Yugebo Racing, and his teammate has flashed through to take victory. They're second of the year. Kyoto Fujinami takes that outright win here, so fantastic job. So close together, but it's 27 from the 777 Car Racing Ferrari. 3rd place, Nick Foster, the better of the 2 AAA JMR, then a big gap, but it should be Kei Tasawa coming through in 4th place, which he does right now. So McLaren in 4th place, and Reid Harker getting very close behind him, and Jasmine Jafar in behind them as well. So 3 cars very close in that battle for 4th place overall. GTO honours will be going to the car that sort of dominated the class this weekend. It should be Hideto Yasuoka who will bring that one home for GTO Racing Team. There is our GT4 winner, lights are flashing, Yasuoka slides in, nice easy win, and not too far back down the track will be the McLaren of, right now crossing the finish line, the McLaren of Masataka Inoue. So a consolation, no victory today for Car Guy Racing, but 18 points, plus victory, maximum points in the Pro-Am class as well. 2nd place in the GT3 Pro-Am class went to Nick Foster, with Prince Jefri, Ibrahim, and 3rd place in that class went to, it's good to have another make up near the front end of the field. It's Hiroshi Koizumi and Kei Tasawa. They were 2nd, 3rd and 4th overall. GT3 Am victory in class goes to, it's another good day for McLaren. Today Uematsu and Yudai Ochida who kicked that one off. They were in 11th place overall. Next in class was number 7, which is Comet Racing's Honda NSX. We saw flashes of that. And 3rd in GT3 Am went to the AMAC Motorsport Porsche, with Ben Porter bringing that to the finish of the race. So what a race it was, and Naoki Okamitsu has had a chance to enjoy Didn't enjoy watching his own lead get compressed with the safety car, but he very much enjoyed watching Kyoto Fujinami, who pulls up in the Yigibo Racing Ferrari under the Yigibo Winner's Arch. How's that for symmetry? So, well, that was a really, really interesting race and very well driven. So, full marks to Yigibo Racing. Car Guy Racing could have done no more. And what they will all have worked out, it's a fun track to drive on. It's a very hard track to overtake on. So what's important? Qualifying is super, super important. But it was about making no mistakes. And you can see the teammates running down. Prince Jefri, Ibrahim running down to greet Nick Foster. But it'll be warm down there. But they had to work very hard indeed. But Naoki Yokomitsu and Kyoto Fujinami, best job of the day. And, for Naoki on the left-hand side of the screen there, he's had a chance to cool down, but you can be sure that Kyoto Fujinami will be a little bit hot under the collar. So Yigibo Racing resisting the challenge from Car Guy Racing. Haven't had time to do all the maths in all the various championship permutations, but a consolation prize today. The Treble 7 Ferrari has taken the Japan Cup GT3 honours, but we'll talk about that later because it's all about celebrating victory for Yigibo Racing here in the first of two races at Okayama. Still the later finishers coming down into the pit lane, but good job, a lot of pressure, getting more intense with every single lap. And Amy, I can see, is now down on the left-hand side of the screen in front of the aquamarine Ferrari. And let's go down and hear from Amy Izawa with our race-winning pair from Yigibo Racing. Amy.
All right, here we have the overall winner. It's car number 27, Yigibo Racing, Kyoto Fujinami and Naoki Yokomizo. Oh my God, what was this? It was perfect. 横溝選手、一瞬ねセーフティーカーでヒヤッとしましたけれども、無事藤波選手がね、トップで戻ってまいりました。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
どうですか、今季2勝目です。
いや今日もね結構苦しい戦いだったし、まあ我々としてもね結構車を重くてきつかったんですけど、やっぱチームもね素晴らしい車用意してくれたし、もうみんなで勝ち取った優勝ですね。明日につなぎました。
おめでとうございます。藤波選手もゆでだこのように戻ってまいりましたけれども、もうプッシュしましたね。
そうですね、思ったよりもギャップがなんかなくて、まあ、前回と同様同じシチュエーションになって、セーフティーカーも入っちゃうし、横道ですごい差を、ね、広げてくれてたんですけど、まあ、これもレースなんですけど、まあ、なんとかねまだチャンピオン可能性残せたんで優勝できて、まあ、明日に備えてまたチームと横道さんとまたミーティングして頑張ります。はい、
今季2勝目、おめでとうございました。So yeah, first of all, we are really happy about this win. One time there was the safety car and we did not know how this will end, but their mission today was to bring the car on P1 and they did it. And Naoki said this is a great flow towards tomorrow's race, and there's still a championship a possibility for them, so they will push hard tomorrow as well. And Fujinami, he also thought, oh, there was a bigger margin at first, but then there wasn't, so he pushed really hard. They got it, and they're just really happy and thankful for the team, and they're just looking forward to tomorrow. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Amy. That was hard work. You can certainly see it on Hideto Fujinami's face. And it was an awful lot closer than he thought at the end. 1.225 seconds was the gap at the end between Cozzolino, who was chasing, and Kyoto Fujinami, who did the winning for Yigibo Racing. Nick Foster chased very hard indeed to be the best of the rest. But as you can see, it was a Silver Cup pair winning the race outright, a Pro-Am pair in the next 8 positions, down to Kei Nakanishi and Shigegatsu Wakisaka. So it was a great race, very tight. The safety car, certainly an interruption, but the two pairs that finished second and third, they were leading the championship, equal on 108 points. Only 3 points has gone the way of Car Guy Racing, and maybe in the final round that will be just enough. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is the Saturday race at the final round of Okayama, and tomorrow is the final. So as the drivers head up to the podium, that was an hour of immense fun. It was very tight at the top, but it all started with a grid that had a Ferrari on pole position, and that was the best place from which to start the race. Let's take a look back. Race 1 at Okayama, and it was the bright blue Ferrari Yagibo racing. Naoki Yakumizo had one job to do. He took the pole position, then he had to see if he could stretch the advantage. He made it. Oh, D-Station Racing, Satoshi Shino's Aston Martin shoved a little bit wide at the first turn, but thereafter it was very neat and tidy. But all along it was about Naoki Yakumizo escaping the two cars fighting for the championship, running a little further back. 99 and treble 7, equal on points coming into this race, but they were in a train fighting over third place. To start with, it was 3 cars, then it was 4, then it was 5, and then eventually down to 8th place, nose to tail. But all along, the race being led by Naoki Yakumizo. This was bad news. We had the spinning Chevrolet. The safety car came out, and Yakumizo for Yagibo Racing, his 4-second lead was brought right down. Still, they were confident on the pit wall, but slightly less confident before. Then everyone dived into the pit lane as soon as the pit window opened, and it was a real struggle, but a very, very good pit stop from Car Guy Racing with a time penalty, a success penalty from a previous race. One expected to see them come out behind the 888 JMR Mercedes number 99 as Nick Foster took over, but they actually came out in front. Thereafter, Cozzolino was going faster and faster, and he was chasing first after Kantazak Kusiri, took second place, then Kusiri's car, the number 18 AAS Motorsport Porsche. This one had to serve a drive-through penalty, and then this is the sweeping move. This is just before the penalty was issued. Cozzolino up into second place, then number 18 Porsche got a drive-through penalty, and then the chase was on. Car Guy Racing, Cozzolino chasing over after Kyoto Fujinami. With every lap, the gap from first to second got smaller and smaller, but never, as it turns out, quite small enough. They got down to 2 seconds apart going the final couple of laps. By the end, it was 1.225 seconds. And for Yagibo Racing, which car was in front? Their car was in front. This is a sweep through the final corner for the last time. They took one win earlier in the year, and here is another one. So job really well done. They did what they needed to do. Maximum points was the minimum they could come here to take if they wanted to stay in the title hunt. But with Car Guy Racing coming in second place, and it's the car in third place being the 99 Nick Foster driven 888 JMR Ferrari coming in third. Those two cars that came here equal on points are still very, very tight at the top. But for Yagibo Racing, maybe, just maybe, today is a building block towards an outside championship bid. But victory for theirs today. Well, those are the highlights. It was a really, really tactical race. You really felt for Yagibo Racing with all their advantage being taken away. But there's the podium here with the sign, the season finale. Well, it's the final race meeting, the final round, but the final race will be on Sunday here at Okayama International Circuit, and the podium is set and plenty to celebrate. Of course, we have the overall podium, we have the GT3 Pro-Am podium, the GT3 Am podium, and then put 2 podiums for the GT4 class, the Silver Am, which is the senior class of GT4, and the GT4 Am class that started with just the 2 drivers, the 2 driver crews, and of course we'll see them up on the podium. Third place overall, Prince Jefri, Ibrahim coming out first. Slight beard and Nick Foster in behind. Second place, Kei Cozzolino and Takeshi Kimura. All smiles today. Second place was good, the hunt was good, but big applause for Yagibo Racing. That was a really, really fantastic run to victory from them. From the pole, Naoki Yakumizo finished off by Kyoto Fujinami. So plenty of smiles up there, just waiting for Fujinami to join. So good job from the young driver, and Naoki Yakumizo just showing the skill is there. More candles on his birthday cake than he used to have. North of 40, but still super, super fast. Trophies being presented there by Masahiko Ida, founder of Dixel, Advanced Braking Solutions, proud sponsors here. And trophies great, but the most important thing at this point in the season is the points. So 25 points for the winners for Yagibo Racing, 18 points for second place in Car Guy Racing, and 15 points for Prince Jefri, Ibrahim and Nick Foster for 888 JMR. So they fall 3 points overall down on Car Guy Racing. And effectively that means they've got to finish in front of them when it comes to tomorrow's finale. Keep the math simple. So smiles all round, but the biggest smiles for Yigibo Racing up on the top step of the podium. Can they do it again tomorrow? They sort of really have to if they're going to have to stand any chance of snatching the final championship. The trophies, Yigibo Racing fast on the track, slow on opening the bottles, and the spray all round. Hopefully a spare set of overalls for tomorrow, because a set sprayed with champagne never smells very sweet afterwards. So there they are, Yigibo Racing, just an illustration of their car out on the track. Beautiful sunshine here at Okayama, but far more beautiful for them, of course, is the fact they've pocketed 25 points for victory. They're the outside title shot. 3 crews came here with a possibility. 50 points to play for, and this crew, 29 points between their title rivals, 2 other crews, but they've managed to haul 7 and 10 points back respectively. And that is all they came here managing to do, but it's a job very well done indeed. So, just to remind well, not to remind you, to show you how the points are, because after that fraught hour of racing here at Saturday at Okayama, Cozzolino, Takeshi, Kimura now clear championship leaders. They were on 108 points at the start of the day, so were Prince Jefri, Ibrahim and Nick Foster, but they've gained 3 points. That's second place against third. But Naoki Yokomizo closing in a little bit. He started today 29 points down on Cozzolino and Kimura. He's now 22 points. That victory, his teammate missed one of the rounds, so Kyoto Fujinami, you can see, is only on 80 points. So there's still an outside chance for Naoki Yokomizo, but it's 2 Ferrari crews and 888 JMR with their Mercedes for Prince Jefri, Ibrahim and Nick Foster. The meat in the sandwich in second place. So plenty more to celebrate on the podium, but for Cozzolino and Takeshi Kimura, Car Guy Racing, they lead the championship by 3 points going into the final race on Sunday. Now times for more podium visits. Great to be here at late September, such brilliant weather. A lot of Japan being hit by a bit of a typhoon at the moment, but we will take this down in the southwest corner of the country. Perfect conditions. So applause for Kei Tasawa as he's coming up. This is the Pro-Am class podium for GT3. So that's the crew of car 16. That's Hiroshi Koizumi and Kei Tasawa with the SRO Motorsport McLaren. They were in 4th place overall, but 3rd in the Pro-Am class. You know the guys are coming up now. We've seen them already. Takeshi Kimura and Kei Cozzolino. They took victory in the class, and therefore we should be having the 99 crew back up there. Here we are. Nick Foster coming up, and Prince Jefri Ibrahim. So effectively the cars in 2nd, 3rd and 4th, a 1st, 2nd and 3rd on the GT3 Pro-Am podium. So out come the trophies again, and again it's Masahiko Ida, the founder of Dixel, presenting those in this glorious sunshine. So we've had a real scrap overall, and these are the crews, 2 of the crews doing the chasing, and in fact the crew in 2nd on this podium for GT3 Pro-Am and the crew in 1st are the 2 that are really duking it out at the top of the GT3 standings. Just 3 points between them for the overall thing. And it is about keeping it clean, keeping it tidy for tomorrow, keeping it on the track. And qualifying will have had a big role to play. So it's been a fantastic first day of racing here at the Okayama International Circuit. And the honours today belong to Yigibo Racing, a victory in the sunshine. So the sun continues to shine, and we've got 3 more podium ceremonies to follow. And we will see, next up should be the GT3 AM finishers. And that was a class won by Team Uematsu with their McLaren. But still, this is the GT3 Pro-Am. 2nd podium for 2 of these 3 crews up there, joined by the crew that finished in 4th place overall, Keita Sawa for SRO Motorsport, and his teammate Hiroshi Koizumi. A polite bow To the fans below the podium, good applause from across the track from the grandstand. Drivers enjoying that, and the fans sitting in the shade quite wisely. It's been quite a warm afternoon here in the southwest of Japan. Beautiful day, beautiful scenery. The track really does nestle into the landscape. Plenty of ups and downs. And in GT3 AM, Andrew McPherson and Ben Porter coming out third place in the AMAC Motorsport Porsche. Second place in class car number 7, Comet Racing, the Honda NSX of Yusuke Yamasaki and Yorikatsu Tsujiko. Arguing about who should stand closer to the winners, but lots of noise with the number 2 crew, Team Uematsu. Tadeo Uematsu and Yudai Uchida. Good run from them. We saw them drop their car in gravel in qualifying, but their meeting has been uphill ever since then, and they've taken a really good run. And victory by fully 11 seconds in class, so they'll take the maximum points, but also the smiles tell the story. They had that one under control. Andrew McPherson, he loves the racing, loves the camera, such a showman up on the podium, and he's got a lot of podiums under his belt in various Asian series since it started life as Blancpain Asia. And of course now it's the Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS. More trophies for the trophy cabinet, but pride of place to Team Uematsu, car number 2 crew. Today Uematsu and Yudai Uchida. It's their 3rd class win of the season. That's not bad, that's in their case from 7 starts. So there goes the champagne. Of course, we've got 2 more podiums to go. We've got the GT4 podiums. First, the Silver Am, which is the senior class, or the better mix of drivers, if you will, in terms of driver ability, and then the AM class as well. But great expressions up on the top of the podium there for GT3 AM. Sore eyes, full of champagne, but smiles all around. Don't forget, just worth reiterating that we're here to collect a lot of points for various championships. We've got the full GT World Challenge Asia, which is across all 5 rounds of the championship, and then we've got the Fanatec Japan Cup, which is for the 4 rounds here in Japan. So 80% of the season, as it turns out. But in GT4, coming here in the overall championship, it was Brian Lee and his teammate from the GTO racing team, Hideto Yasuoka, with only a 6-point lead of Hiroaki Hatano and Shinya Hosokawa. Another Mercedes crew and an outside runner was Akiland Racing, Masayuki Oshima. So 3rd place today, it's the number 33 crew, Shinya Hosokawa. 2nd place, and it's good to have a different one in the mix now, car number 17, the Kref Motorsport crew of Yuko Suzuki, who came out, followed by Masataka Inoue. You can see her standing on closer, and up on the top step, car number 14, driven beautifully again by Brian Lee and Hideto Yasuoka. Took victory in the end by 8 seconds. Karen got close early on, but you can see Yuko very happy with life, waving away to her fans. So this is the Silver AM class of GT4. There is also the AM class. Just the 2 crews in that, and they finished quite a gap between them. But McLaren crew here on the left of the podium chased hard. Came out very close after the pit stops, but through the 2nd stint, our GT4 winners, started by Brian Lee, finished by Hideto Yasuoka, just stretched their legs and pulled 8 seconds clear at the end. They were very much the class of the field, more than before here. They're stretching their abilities through the season, learning all the time, and no wonder very happy with life in the sunshine here in late September. One more go. It's tomorrow, Sunday. So time for the champagne. Just the one driver standing on the 3rd point of the programme of the GT4 Silver Am podium there. plenty to entertain. So that pretty much concludes the show for the first of 2 days here at Okayama. We've got the GT4 AM podium coming up, and then we'll run you through the points before coming to a close of our broadcast. But the crew's looking very happy with life indeed. So one more visit to the podium coming up, and we're looking forward to the number 71 crew from Akiland Racing. Masayoshi Oyama and Masayuki Ueda should bring it to the top step in GT4 AM. But there is the winner in the GT4 class overall. It's the GTO racing team. It's Brian Lee, and his teammate Hideto Yasuoka did not put a wheel wrong for the GTO racing team. They've been very good all season and seem to be getting better, which is bad news for their rivals with every passing round. And just waiting for Amy to call the last group of people up onto the podium. And GT4 AM class second place goes to the number 4 crew, which is the Comet Racing crew of Kazuhiro Sakai and Masaki Fuji, but up onto the top step, no wonder they're all smiles. It's the 71 crew, Akiland Racing of Masayoshi Oyama and Masayuki Ueda. So they take the GT4 AM class for Akiland Racing with a very pretty looking Toyota Supra, driven really well this weekend, I must say. So it's good. Will we see these pairings on the podium again tomorrow? More than likely. Which way round will they go? Certainly Akiland Racing look very strong in the GT4 AM class. So all the cars arrived here with... There are 13 Drivers' Championships split between the main championship and the 4-round Japan Cup Championship. One of those have been settled. I think 2 more have been settled today, but that means the finals day has got maybe as many as 10 Drivers' Championships to be sorted out. But at this point of the season, they'll take the great weather, the great circuit, and the challenge, and build up again for next year. The cameras get the last spring for today, and the girls up on the podium as well. So it doesn't matter if you're first overall or first in your class. Great show. Camera crews will be getting quite smart. There's Amy on the trying to hide behind her clipboard, keep the spray off. But that's the end of the podiums here for Saturday at Okayama International Circuit. The championship's first visit here. The weather could not have been kinder. And let's take a look at the GT4 points. So Brian Lee, Hideto Yasuoka, there we are, winning the race by 8 seconds, just a whisker over 8 seconds. And again, it goes Mercedes, McLaren, Mercedes, Toyota, Mercedes, as you run down with those 2 crews at the back being in the AM class. But certainly Brian Lee and Yasuoka dominant here in the first day. But great to have the McLaren of Kref Motorsport getting into the mix as well, showing good form. Well, it's been a great first day here at Okayama International Circuit. Those are the race results for GT4. Let's take a look at the championship results with round 9 of 10 having been completed. But it's 128 points. Now still only 16 points clear, but that victory today was a good helping hand. It was certainly a whole lot closer when we came into this race. Just a 6 points advantage. So Hatana and Hosokawa, also driving a Mercedes, have got plenty to do in the final round. But anything is possible. But today you can understand why Lee and Yasuoka were smiling. They've built themselves a very comfortable cushion at the top of the championship. So now that's GT4. Let's remind ourselves again what happened in the leading class in GT3. 2 crews were equal on 108 points at the start of the day, but second place in today's race has stretched the advantage from no points at all to 3 points. Kei Cozzolino and Takeshi Kimura now lead the championship from Prince Jefri, Ibrahim and Nick Foster by just 3 points with 1 race to go, 25 points to play for. It was a great first day here at the Okayama International Circuit, and let's hope, fingers crossed, the weather's going to be just as good tomorrow. The grid is already set. It is all to play for. So do join us on Sunday at Okayama International Circuit. That's all from me, Bruce Jones. Thanks very much for watching.